Hey everyone, this is session 7 with this 8-year-old Cryptorchid stud horse, and I think I just went in and it looks like it's a pretty short session, probably about 10 minutes long, and my goal is, I believe, changing the halter. So right now I'm just trying to match his steps, get him to face up with me, get him to relax enough for me to just go up right away and put that lead rope on the halter, which you can see he's already gotten loads quicker at. Again, I do apologize for not being in frame completely. My camera doesn't move around and I just set it up on a tripod so I show it the best I can. But if you remember from session 6, we had a little bit of a breakthrough. We kind of fought a little bit with him giving the pressure, so I had to do some more of like the light pulls, which shouldn't be a steady pressure, because immediately once he turns his nose, as you can see right there, there's the release. So right now I'm just wanting him to stand there, stay kind of square to me, and relax. Good. So if he's focused and straight ahead, I kind of just let him be. There's no pressure, but you can see he's just trying to like walk off and do his own thing right now, and I really want to make sure he can focus in with me. Now, of course, you see me do a lot of things off the line with other horses for the most part, make sure that they really connect to me that way before getting the halter on. But again, just to kind of reiterate in case you haven't seen the prior videos, this is a little bit of a timed thing because I was only here for a couple of days and I wanted to make sure that he was ready and safe to be handled by the vet so he could finish his gelding process. So there you saw a little bit of his reaction where he kind of did, it's not really a rear up, but he came off both front feet and turned to the side a little bit, but there was no pressure on the halter because I did ask him to move that way. So that was kind of just a reaction that he started to develop, a little bit of a habit. So what I did was not react and just let him go forward, and you can see that he'll start to little by little not have that little jumping rear reaction anymore. The reason I started sending him forward here is because right away he wasn't really willing to relax and kind of keep his feet still, so I said, okay, let's work on something that involves a little more movement. So always trying to work with the horse in what is best for them in their mind at that moment. So instead of working on standing still, I said, let's move around a little bit. Again, I'm trying to really make sure that you guys understand how important it is that you have those little bumps and you don't just hold a firm pressure on your horse when they're kind of dragging you around. They're able to lay equally into the pressure if you're pulling at a constant rate, and it just is more efficient if you can bump. So asking him to change directions, that was pretty smooth. And we didn't go back to working on not round penning on the rail yet, because you remember the last time when I tried to have him kind of come to the inside circle is where we had some of the difficulties. But I think right now what I'm focusing on is that halter. The other thing is I don't want him to get sucked back at all, so that's why I pushed him forward there and then went into my hindquarter yield. As soon as he gave me a good one, I let him rest. So going back to the stick, I think I'm probably gonna pet him with it, make sure he's good at the withers, the head, the neck. And then I'm guessing I go through that little haltering prep again, where I kind of put it all around his head. I'm really touching his face and his cheeks to make sure he's comfortable. The other really good thing would be if I can get him haltered and his halter changed, that means he doesn't have to stay with a halter on all the time. So right there, again, you can see that little jump habit that he got into, but I didn't have any pressure until after he landed from it, and then I just asked him to quietly yield his hindquarters. Again, right there, we just worked on it with him sending out. You could see him think about it. He's like, I kind of want to jump and pull that lead rope with me, but he thought, he went slower, and we were able to kind of have a connection through that turn out. Good, so that was a lot better. I did add a little pressure that time to keep him kind of down, but I think what I had to do is just tune everything down a little bit, get a little softer with him for right now, and make sure he really understood. I just wanted him to turn out and not necessarily move in. Good, so I am doing my voiceover right now without listening to the audio, but he must have done something there that made me really need to push him. Good. The other important thing is that a horse does know how to trot and canter on a line. Okay, especially eventually if he's getting started under saddle, we can't have him being super sucked in behind the leg. I'd rather a horse bolt and go forward than go up and sideways. So basically here, as soon as he picks up that canter, I release everything, even if it's just for half a stride. Back to yielding the hindquarters. So I am going to have to listen back with sound to see if there was either something specific that made me send him forward, or if I was working on just teaching him the canter. And I actually have a video with Roulette, who was my 2020 Player's Choice Texas Mustang. She was the buckskin that I had from Little Oahe, and she had some trouble holding the canter. So I kind of explained what I did to help her out with it, and that's what I'm following through with here. So as soon as I got her going forward, I really added a lot of energy from behind because these lazier, more behind the leg horses need a little help initially. But as soon as the canter is picked up, you essentially drop all of your energy, again, even if it's just for half a stride or one stride at the start, to really reward them for cantering. Right, and then later on you're going to build up and add more and more energy. Good. Really good. That was a better response from him. So it does look like that's what I was working on. I was working on asking him to canter, since before then, all we were doing was walk trot. So again, I point, I cluck, and then I follow through with the whip. So that's a lot of sequencing there. So the reason that time I kept pushing him when he was in the canter was because I was either, one, raising my expectations, wanting him to hold it for more than one stride, or two, when he started to crow hop and kind of get a little bit sassy, I wanted to just teach him to push forward and move out of it. I don't necessarily want him taking his energy and going up. I'd rather he go forward with it. Good, so again, a lot of the switching up, going back to petting him, making sure he's still okay with me close by. And all of that really high energy work where I'm adding a little bit more pressure than normal and really pushing him, I only try to do for like 2 or 3 minutes. That's not going to be the whole entire session. I just need to make a little bit of progress with it, and then we work on it the next time as well and kind of add it into that rotation. So I'm able to be so much less careful around him, and I'm able to really pet under that halter, not be super, not that I ever was cautious, but not be like super, super gentle. I can kind of have a medium amount of pressure. He really likes being rubbed there, kind of behind his ear. Good, and that's all good signs when I'm able to touch kind of all over his face to go in with that halter. Sometimes horses, when you pick up a new tool, they get really freaked out, so it's a good idea to rub it kind of all over their body, in this case over his body, but also over his head, because that's where we're going to be focusing on. So you saw right then, I used my lead rope and kind of put it on like I would a nose band. And now I'm acting like I'm going to toss it over him. Good, such awesome reactions. So my big prep for that was when I was taking that stick and string and tossing that over his neck and getting him used to that motion, feeling, sound. Same thing when I used the rope. So my favorite thing to do if they already have a halter on is halter them over the halter before we take it off. That was super seamless. He had no problems with that. So I feel pretty confident that I'm going to be able to take that halter off and put the rope halter on. And again, that just sets him up for being able to be in the pasture and be in his little paddock at nighttime and when I'm not working him with nothing on his face, which of course means there's less risk of him maybe getting caught up in something. So I found something that's kind of interesting. Whenever I go to change that halter for the first time, they tend to like walk backwards a couple steps, even if they didn't do that while we were practicing and warming up with the lead rope. So I just kind of adjusted him with my body language there.
Yeah, I'll probably
And
take
really
it
got
to the
him
halter.
prepped so he would be ready to halter.
Probably one where a pretty decent size
So I believe it's going
head
to be
is
the next
fine.
session then where I show you guys the full complete haltering of him. I thought I was going to show it this time, but you can see he's definitely ready for it. You know, the biggest thing is I never want to, if they do have the halter on and I'm able to work with it now, I don't want to take it off of them and then not have a way to get them back and then, you know, have to resort to some more of the dangerous methods that I really haven't had to use yet, luckily, like roping and such to try to get that horse back to me. So I think it's going to be the next video where I show you guys the complete haltering, and I believe there's only 2 more sessions after that, and then I headed out of California. But thank you guys so much for watching, and hopefully you enjoyed watching this session.